So, running on our undefeated count, this is table number 4. So we have 7 players, currently at 6-0, Cory Lowe at 5-0-1. That means we will have 1 undefeated player at the end of the day. And Andrew winning the die roll, that's already pretty important here.
That's going to matter.
However, there's something missing here, Ryan, and that is cards in hand for Andrew Schneider. He's on a mull to 5.
You don't need too many cards to set up the Phoenix part of the deck, but you do to get set up with Bedlam Revelers, and the Revelers are also pretty slow in the matchup. Oh,
His hand is 2 more mountains and 2 needle drops.
Not a good holding. Definitely going to be too slow. Needle Drop just doesn't do anything until you have something to turn it on.
What I was going to say, what I liked more about Arclight Red than regular Burn, is I think it mulls to 5 better.
Yeah, you have a lot of cards that say draw a card on them.
Yeah, you know, you can loot your way to a Bedlam Reveler, have things be okay. And he's going to try to do that. Here's Lava Spike, Needle Drop. But he will need to find probably a Bedlam Reveler, some really high payoff thing.
Right. Now, like he hasn't played his land yet, there's a possibility that he might try if he drew like a Faithless Looting to cast that over the other Needle Drop.
Another Needle Drop. He did actually pick up Bedlam Reveler here. Draws into Faithless Looting. Okay.
Okay, yeah, so there's 4 instants and sorceries in the graveyard.
What is the speed of Ironworks? That's going to be the question. Cory Lowe, turn 3. So turn 2 was Ichor Wellspring. Now casting Stirrings. Ironworks is a good bet to win on turn 4.
Yes.
And I don't think Schneider's going to win before that.
Another thing about this build is that Cory Lowe is main decking Thopter Foundry Sword of the Meek combo, which is very powerful against a deck trying to attack with Bedlam Reveler.
Stirrings found Darksteel Citadel. Cory went to 14 using that Karplusan Forest. And it's actually shocking for Breeding Pool, so all of this is going to help. I'm a little interested, as he says, makes Chromatic Star and Pirate Spellbomb. Usually in Ironworks, you see Grove of the Burn Willows and Botanical Sanctum as your lands, as opposed to this where it's Pain Lands and Shock Lands.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre mana base. It has 1 Misty Rainforest, 1 Breeding Pool, 1 Yavimaya Coast.
Is this the old Lands I Own package?
Tradebinder Ironworks.
Andrew casts Faithless Looting, gets rid of 2 mountains. Actually, just make Bedlam Reveler, looks like.
That makes a bit more sense than casting Faithless Looting to set it up. You may as well just get that one out there.
And Corkland Ironworks from Cory Lowe. And here comes the combo turn. So I'm set up with it with more Chromatic Stars. You kind of felt it coming that last turn. Rather than cycling through a Chromatic Star to cast Stirrings, he just tapped Karplusan Forest just so he could keep the star around. It's kind of a sign that he already has what he's looking for.
Yeah, he also started by sacrificing Darksteel Citadel. It's a pretty big display of confidence when he had the 2 stars on the Wellspring he could have started on.
So we will keep track of this. 4 colorless as here we go. And there's Scrap Trawler down to 1. This is going to get it. It's actually set up as loops pretty quickly. And it is, you know, turn 4 for Ironworks is a pretty safe turn for them to combo off. Second Scrap Trawler added to the mix. Doesn't have a 0 yet. He'd like to find a Mox Opal, but at that point it should be pretty trivial to finish things out.
Right.
Doesn't have it just yet. Sacrifices Ichor Wellspring, makes 2 mana, gets back Chromatic Star times 2.
So a good amount of redraws.
Yeah. Wait until he finds a 0. We're looking for Mox Opal. Engineered Explosives actually will play here. With these in play, these Chromatic Stars just produce a mana and draw a card. And there's the Mox Opal. Or correction, that is
third Scrap Trawler.
Third Scrap Trawler. That one's not going to matter too much here. Usually doesn't have enough stuff in his graveyard to fuel that. Gets back Star Spellbomb. Yeah, and with so much mana and card draw going on, it's just, I mean, it's mathematically possible to miss.
Yeah, the odds
it might not be, actually.
Right. You get to a certain point, that's no longer true.
Yeah. Goes through Terrarian. This point where he's using the color's mana to cast a Terrarian or a Star, sacrifices it for 2 colors, draws a card. So net results, he cycles 1-mana artifacts to draw a card.
Even in a hypothetical world where he just misses on combo this turn, those 3 trawlers, they do a great job of just blocking the Bedlam Reveler. Lowe will get another turn of it, though he should be closing here.
Player controls 5 or more artifacts or enchantments. Gonna check that off while Cory keeps doing his thing. Here's Mox Opal. So at this point, Mox Opal every time, getting back on every sacrifice, means that you should assume that Cory has as much mana as he needs. These 3 Scrap Trawlers means he has about as much card draw as he needs, which should equal a kill.
Yep.
You can have all the cards in your deck, and you can have all the mana you need to cast them. Presuming you put cards in your deck that win the game, you should be fine.
Showed us Sword of the Meek there. That's half of the Thopter Sword combo.
I don't think he needs it in this
No.
sport. I think he can go for a mirror. When he finds a mirror retriever, he can demonstrate a loop.
Yeah.
And he will, and Andrew picks up cards.
Yeah, so Schneider at least knows about that Sword of the Meek. I don't think that information really helps him. He's a mono red deck. He can only do so much. He's playing against a heavy artifact graveyard deck, so he kind of knows what's going on.
He's probably not happy to see it. That kind of combo's good against him.
Oh, okay. Got to do this 2 more times, huh?
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at what he can do about it. 4 Tormod's Crypts for Schneider, the full playset. 3 Molten Rain, 3 Shrine of Burning Rage, some Dragon's Claws, some Anger of the Gods, a risk factor.
So Graveyard Hate is how you disrupt Ironworks. Tormod's Crypt is on the weak side for that sort of thing.
Here's my question. So you're playing a burn style deck like Andrew Schneider. So Tormod's Crypt does give you game here, but that is a card that does not deal damage. Do you want to board it in, or do you just want to not and hope you burn him out?
I think it might be a play draw thing. On the play, just try to be faster. On the draw, try to use Tormod's Crypt to buy enough time.
That's what I was thinking. On the play, maybe just present your game 1 deck.
Right.
That sounds right.
On the play, there's an argument for just casting Molten Rains. If Lowe doesn't have Mox Opal, Mind Stone, you can just push him off of actually comboing.
Yeah, it's interesting. It doesn't always keep the deck off it, and that would be my concern, right? If it's like turn 2 Mind Stone Opal and you have a Molten Rain, then...
Well, the situation is the matchup is miserable.
Yeah, so you're hoping to like steal it in some way or another.
May as well Stone Rain them. If you don't want to play Magic, just hook up some Stone Rains and hope for the best.
I gotta live by that. It's a bad matchup. May as well Stone Rain them.
Well, if I destroy their lands, then they can commit fewer of the game actions that make it harder for me to win.
I've been doing it all wrong. I just put Stone Rains in the board of your deck, and people say, what are those for? And you say, the bad matchups.
When they cast spells that you don't want them to cast, you just destroy their mana sources.
I can't beat their spells, so I go for their lands. Cory Lowe side, 4 Nature's Claim, 3 Negate, 2 Psi, 2 Galvanic Blast, Defense Grid, Gear per Aether Grid, Lightning Bolt, and Worm Coil Engine.
Like me a Worm Coil Engine.
If you connect with that once, I'm not sure the Arclight Red deck's going to do much about it.
Yeah. Could bring in a Nature's Claim or 2 to gain 4 life. That's whatever.
Is Negate too fancy?
Yeah, the Negate against Lava Spike, especially in a matchup where you're just faster, seems like you're setting yourself up to not combo on time. Yeah, Galvanic Blast is fine. This is a deck that's attacking with creatures. He hasn't seen the Swift Spears yet, though they are there.
Want to read about some of the newest decks like Arclight Red? Subscribe to the StarCityGames.com newsletter. You can read from such players here on the tour like Ross Merriam. See you over there on the newsletter. He's 5-1. He's crushing it with Dredge. Find that. You can hide us from our best article, upcoming dates. You can get some Possibility Storm puzzle solutions. Otherwise, you just don't get to know the answer. You just have to...
Just
gotta stare at them for a while.
Live with that puzzle for the rest of your life.
It's like those magic eyes, you know? You can't ever tell what they are unless you look at the answers.
Right.
That was my experience with them.
I just never thought they did anything. I just felt really left out.
I felt like it was this giant joke. It's that everyone else was in on. And, you know, they'd be like, oh, they'd hand you this thing that's gray, and then everyone would be like, oh, it's a duck.
Yeah.
And then the next person, you'd be like... You're making stuff up, and then you'd hand it to the other person next to you, and they're like, "Oh, it's a duck."
Yeah,
like when I was in the bathroom, you guys just like said, "Hey, let's all say it's a duck. This is gonna be great."
Right, you see somebody staring at one, you walk up and you say, "Oh, a boat," and you just walk away. You're done there.
Schneider mulliganing to 6. Gonna keep Scry to the top. Actually, correct that. Scry to the bottom. see what we have going on here. Monastery, Swift Spear, and a swing. Looks like his hand is actually double Swift Spear. I like that in this matchup.
Yeah, it's a solid start, especially on the play. Might be able to close before Lowe can go off.
Ironworks isn't going to remove your Swift Spears. The bar to me seems to be, can Andrew win on turn 4?
Right.
I bet Cory can.
Typically, yes.
Yeah, Chromatic Sphere. And Andrew has boarded in Termod's Crypt. One's in his hand.
A prowess trigger.
Here is Manamorphose. I love Manamorphose in a monocolored deck. That feels so legit.
It is nice.
So he's got Tormenting Voice, Monastery Swift Spear, Termod's Crypt, Fiery Temper. It's kind of an interesting setup. He's going to make Swift Spear.
Yeah, I would be inclined to cast the Crypt because it's a 2-point burn spell here. And then next turn you can be set up. If you draw a land, you Tormenting Voice, discarding the Fiery Temper.
Yeah. He's going to go for no on the Crypt. And I guess this makes sense. He can always prowess with it next turn. Maybe he draws a third Swift Spear. It's not...
Yeah, he doesn't lose anything, I suppose. This is not yet the turn where he needs to interact with the graveyard.
Mind Stone from Cory. Mind Stone sacrifices Sphere.
I suppose if he misses on the land, he just wants to discard something. That something might be the Crypt.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess if there's actually no removal in Cory's deck, then it's just better to save it until the lethal turn. Finds Scrap Trawler, does Cory. With his setup right now, Mind Stone and a Darksteel Citadel, it is possible for him to combo next turn, but I think we're looking at a turn 4.
Right.
Easy one from Andrew. Tormenting Voice, discarding Arclight Phoenix. Draws 2 lands.
No good. Won't be able to Fiery Temper this turn.
And there's the Termod's Crypt, 2 prowess triggers. So they both are 3s. Cory drops to 10.
And it's two mountains and a Fiery Temper left over. Drawing exactly Faithless Looting could lead to a very big turn for Schneider on the following turn, but there's a little bit of pressure on the top of his deck now.
Well, I kind of like this, right? Fiery Temper upstairs. Cory's at 7. He's taking 4 off the Swift Spears. So all it takes is a burn spell on the next draw, and we are looking at lethal.
Yeah.
He's got a Termod's Crypt to defend from a turn 3. You know, the pieces are in place here to force game 3.
Big fan of the Chronicles Tormod's Crypt.
This
is how much I care about your graveyard deck. Play this card from the set that almost ruined Magic.
No one liked Chronicles. Another Mind Stone from Cory. Looks like he missed the... No, he hit the land drop. Here's Ichor Wellspring.
And not bothering with the Scrap Trawler to block. Possible he just hasn't found Ironworks and needs these redraws.
Terrarian go, so a Lava Spike will do it. Can the red deck help Andrew out? Draws... No, it does not. Draws another mountain.
Not so good.
Looks like Cory Lowe will get another turn, and that is not good news for Andrew Schneider.
No. Does still have the Crypt up. That's worth something.
3 upstairs. Cory to 7. Swing Cory to 3. And so first Andrew needs to force another turn, and then he needs to not top deck a land, because if he draws another land, he's giving Cory another turn on top of this.
Right. The Swift Spears are shy of lethal, even if the Scrap Trawler doesn't show up to block.
But turn 4 for Cory. Can he do it again? A lot of mana here. Looks like 6 to start the turn. But he's got to combo through this Termod's Crypt.
Oh, yeah. There's that Chronicles Tormod's Crypt.
That's a nice border on it.
Yeah, the white border expansion symbol combination. just vile.
You got to let him know it's a reprint. Here's Karklan Ironworks for Cory. Sacrifices the Citadel, makes 2. Makes Scrap Trawler, no mana floating. And this is a situation where Tormod's Crypt will... If Cory... He may be able to navigate through this.
Right. It'd be very different if there were a Ley Line of the Void or a Rest in Peace. Tormod's Crypt's only going to get one shot at this graveyard, and there's plenty of artifacts to sacrifice.
Sacrifices Terrarian, gets back Darksteel Citadel, casts Chromatic Star. Sacrifices Chromatic Star to draw a card. No more zeros to get back for now. Makes another star, so sacrifice it up to 4 colorless, draws. Plays Mirror Retriever. Okay, this should force some action from Schneider. We're getting very close to a loop here.
Well, Schneider just kind of wants to wait for there to be a loop, though. He might not have the time for that.
Yeah, sacrificing Mind Stone to go up to 4, trying to get Star back.
And I like that he sacrificed Mind Stone instead of Ichor Wellspring, because he doesn't really care if this one gets exiled from his graveyard, whereas the Wellspring has more value when he needs to reset his graveyard.
Well, one thing that Cory can do is he can combo this whole time without ever trying to use a Mirror Retriever loop and just continue to create value. If Schneider crypts him at any point, then he'll demonstrate a Mirror Retriever loop. But if he doesn't crypt him, Cory just starts engineering through his deck.
Right.
And by the look of it, I don't think this crypt will be enough. Cory's starting to make colored mana off the Mox Opal.
Yeah, that is kind of the concern. And part of why I was saying that Crypt on the play is not something I was super on board with in this matchup. It's only good on the dicey combo turns.
Yeah.
When the Ironworks deck is really set up to go off, you need to have more control over the graveyard than this.
I did like it on turn 3 when Andrew prowessed with it. And I was thinking, okay, if Cory tries to go off turn 3, this crypt should do something.
Yep.
And now we're going to bring those Thopter tokens into play. So Sai was made. Cory, plenty of mana. Yeah, and there's just not going to be a window here. Schneider continues to combo through the deck. Second Mirror Retriever. And you see, Cory's not even really making these Thopters because he already knows. It's fine that I mean, okay. And he said, oh, I've been missing all those. Hold on. Yeah, he has, but that'll be fine. Three mana off Opal. Sacrifices a Wellspring, up to 4, drawing a card, getting back the Chromatic Star. Draws into a Pyrite Spellbomb. Spellbomb, okay, so we certainly have a loop here with Mirror Retriever, Scrap Trawler, Spellbomb, Mox Opal. That is a kill. Opal here from Cory Lowe.
It's at all possible he doesn't want to pass the turn. If he can just find Thopter Foundry, that really forces the action on the Crypt, and you can just respond through it, and that combo would gain enough life. You wouldn't even have to win this turn anymore. He could just get out of the game very easily that way.
He gains 1 life for each mana that's floating here.
Right.
And there is Thopter Foundry. So this, right, with all the floating mana, this combo, Thopter Foundry plus Sword of the Meek, basically gives you, for 1 colorless, you gain a life and make a 1/1. I don't think Cory cares about the 1/1s, because we've been seeing he's not even been using those Psy triggers.
This is also a combination that's very resilient to graveyard hate.
Yes.
The way it works, the Sword of the Meek just always checks whenever you produce a 1/1, it'll return itself. So you put that trigger on the stack, Schneider can crypt you or not. If he crypts you, you just sacrifice some different artifact to your Thopter Foundry. And then your Sword of the Meek will trigger again. He'll gain a life every time.
Okay, so Schneider crypted away, and that doesn't really matter.
Or you can just, go for your loop now that the Tormod's Crypt is gone. It doesn't matter really either way.
World is your oyster here.
Yeah, how do you want to win this game? Also, just controlling the Thopter Foundry gains him enough life to get out of any situation in the first place.
And Cory shows, I'll sack another thing. I'm going to get my sword back. And then Andrew looks at it. He's like, all right, you got it. Cory Lowe improves to 6-0-1. One of 4 remaining undefeated players here in the tournament.
So there was some interesting interplay there when it came to Thopter Sword versus Tormod's Crypt. It kind of showed how